The day your emotions stop powering them is the day their control begins to fail. You don't need a dramatic confrontation, a clever speech, or a perfect comeback. You need one inner decision. Their performance will no longer reach your nervous system. Think about that for a second. If their rage can't hook you, if their charm can't pull you close, if their guilt can't move you, what do they have left? Most people try to beat a narcissist on the surface. Argue better, explain clearer, prove the facts, expose the lies. But the game isn't played on facts. It's played on reactions. Their advantage has never been power in the heroic sense. It's leverage, and leverage is borrowed. It comes from what you give without realizing it. Attention charged with emotion. So here's the shift we're making today. We're not fighting them. We're making them irrelevant inside you. In Jungian language, a narcissistic person is often fused with a mask, a persona that must look superior at all times. Beneath that mask sits a disowned underside. Shame, fear, envy, emptiness. Jung called this the shadow. And here's the problem. They don't want to feel that shadow. So they try to place it somewhere else. Onto you, into the room. When you react, you unknowingly accept the delivery. When you don't, the package returns to sender. Let's name the fuel clearly. Therapists call it supply, but I want you to feel it as a simple law. Whatever you feed grows. Praise feeds it. Panic feeds it. Defending yourself feeds it. Crying feeds it. Even your exhausted, late-night paragraphs trying to make them understand feed it. Why? Because in their internal economy, intensity matters more than kindness. If you're lit up, they feel powerful. Have you noticed that? They'd rather have an ugly fight than a calm peace, because peace doesn't prove they can move you. So the first move is not silence for the sake of silence. It's the deliberate refusal to let their behavior set your inner weather. This is where most people fail, because the narcissist will test the new boundary immediately. If your old pattern was they poke, you explode, they will poke harder. This is called an extinction burst, the last violent surge of a habit that's dying. And here's the question that decides everything. Can you stay steady while they escalate? At first they'll look confused, then irritated, then suddenly sweet, then suddenly cruel. They'll switch costumes fast because they're not seeking truth, they're seeking a reaction. They may manufacture emergencies. They may accuse you of being cold. They may praise you like you're the love of their life. Anything to restart the old circuit. If you hold your emotional line, something unsettling happens in them. Not growth, not humility, but fear. The fear of having no effect. Because for them, being disliked is still being significant. Being ignored is psychological starvation. Your calm becomes a mirror they can't escape. Without your reaction, they face the hollow space they've been avoiding. This is where the dynamic begins to flip. They stop treating you like a predictable appliance and start treating you like a mystery. And a narcissist cannot tolerate a mystery that threatens their control. So they obsess, they analyze, they circle. You didn't attack them. You simply became unavailable to their script. Now, before we go further, I want you to remember something crucial. This is not about winning a person. It's about rescuing your mind. Your peace is not negotiable. So the next 5 strategies are not tricks. They're training. And the first one is brutal because it requires consequences. Strategy 1, boundaries that cost something to break. People say, set boundaries, like it's a polite sentence. But with a narcissist, a boundary isn't a request. It's a physical reality you enforce. Ask yourself, how many times have you announced a limit, explained it carefully, begged them to respect it, and then stayed anyway? Every time we do that, we teach them a lesson. Your words are flexible. Here's the reframe. A boundary is not what you say. It's what you do next. It is the immediate removal of access to you. Your time, your attention, your presence, your help. When disrespect appears, access disappears. Calmly, cleanly, no debate. That's the part their nervous system understands. Cause and effect. If they raise their voice on a call, you end the call. If they mock you in a room, you leave the room. If they demand instant attention, you don't perform availability. You state one neutral line and move. I'm not continuing this. I'm stepping away. Not available. Then you act. This is not punishment. It is self-respect in motion. And the moment you do it, expect pushback. They may rage. They may cry. They may accuse you of cruelty. They may reverse roles, acting like the victim of your coldness. This is DARVO: deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Will you explain yourself? Will you argue? Or will you let their story die in the air? Because if you start defending, you're back in the old economy, paying them with emotion. Hold the line. One consequence every time. Over time, they learn a new association. Crossing you costs them access. They don't suddenly become kind. They become careful. And in Jungian terms, you're doing something sacred. You're separating psyches. You're ending the unconscious merging where they treat you as an extension of their will. This separation is individuation, becoming your own person, not their container. A boundary is a door you control. Now here's the next twist. If consequences build defense, you still need a way to stop them reading your mind through the gaps. Strategy 2. Become unreadable. You've heard of the gray rock method. Short answers, no drama, no personal detail. It works because it removes the reward, but we can sharpen it. The upgraded version is strategic ambiguity. You don't just become boring, you become impossible to map. Why does that matter? Because narcissistic control relies on prediction. They press a button, you respond on schedule. So what happens when the buttons stop working? When they ask a loaded question like, "Do you even care about me?" Basic non-reaction might be sure, but that's still data. It still gives them a handle. Ambiguity sounds like, "I'll think about that," or "That's one way to see it," or "Interesting question." No warmth, no coldness, no confession, no defense, just fog. And fog forces them to struggle with themselves instead of wrestling with you. You also subvert expectations in your behavior. If they expect anger, you respond with calm curiosity. If they expect gratitude during love bombing, you respond with polite neutrality and change the topic. You become consistently inconsistent. Not chaotic, not cruel, just ungrippable. Do you feel the power in that? You're not hiding. You're refusing to provide a map for someone who uses maps to invade. In Jung's framework, when you become a blank surface, their projections intensify. They start seeing in you whatever they refuse to see in themselves. Their paranoia shows. Their guilt leaks out as accusation. Their envy appears as criticism. And instead of absorbing it, you observe it. That observation alone can change you, because you begin to realize, this isn't about me. But there's a point where being unreadable isn't enough. They will still try to pull you into their story. That leads to strategy 3, frame reversal. This is where the strongest people lose, because they try to win inside a rigged courtroom. A narcissist sets the frame. Who is good? Who is bad? Who is sane? Who is crazy? Who is the judge? Then they dare you to defend yourself. If you defend, you have accepted their courtroom. You're now on trial. So your job is not to argue facts. Your job is to reject the frame. How? With calm statements that reposition reality. If they say, "You're too sensitive," don't plead your sanity. Try, "I'm comfortable with my feelings." Or, "It seems my feelings upset you." Do you hear it? You refuse the role of the defective one. You hand them the discomfort. If they play martyr, listing everything they do, don't compete in suffering. Try, "It sounds like you've taken on too much." Now the frame changes from, "I am a saint," to "You are responsible for your choices." If they accuse you of selfishness for having limits, you can say, "I'm choosing what's healthy for me." No argument, no defense, a new frame. Here's the secret. They have scripts for your old reactions. They do not have scripts for your calm refusal to play. So they wobble, they improvise, they escalate, then they hesitate, and you begin to see something that changes everything. Their confidence is often a costume sewn from your compliance. Now, strategy 4 is subtle and incredibly effective. It's attention as reinforcement. Not attention as love, not attention as fear, but attention as a lever. Because they repeat what still gives them access. In the old dynamic, your attention is a public utility they feel entitled to. You listen to monologues. You chase their mood. You respond instantly. We reverse that. Your attention becomes earned. When they are calm, respectful, cooperative, you engage normally. When they slide into manipulation, drama, contempt, you withdraw engagement in a clean, boring way. No speeches, no lectures. Your focus simply fades. Look at your phone. Return to your task. Answer with short facts. Let the silence do the teaching. Why is that so powerful? Because being uninteresting is a form of ego injury for them. It signals irrelevance. But here's the upgrade: scarcity. Don't reward them for basic decency. Decency is the entry fee. Save your strongest warmth for rare moments of true accountability, honest self-awareness, genuine consideration. And when those moments appear, you acknowledge them briefly, authentically, and then you return to your center. That rarity makes your approval feel valuable, not routine. They start orienting their behavior around earning access to the version of you that feels like gold. Now, I need to pause and ask you something. What if the goal isn't to train them at all? What if the goal is to outgrow the entire dynamic? Because the final strategy is the one that makes you untouchable: emotional detachment. Detachment is not pretending you don't care. It is realizing their behavior is about their inner chaos, not your worth. When that realization lands in your body, not just your mind, the hooks stop catching. They can still shout, but it doesn't enter you. They can still flatter, but it doesn't intoxicate you. And that is the end of their leverage. So how do you build that state? 3 pillars. First, internal worth. The more you need their approval, the more they can steer you. So you practice choosing integrity over reaction. You make small decisions that honor your values, even if it displeases them. You become the one who validates you. At night, you know what you handled well. You notice your own courage. You stop outsourcing your identity. Second, a life that isn't centered on them. If your days orbit their mood, they remain the sun. So you build a purpose, a skill, a career step, a creative project, a fitness goal, a community contribution, something that grows you. Then their dramas start to feel like interruptions, not destinies. Can you imagine waking up and caring more about your mission than their opinion? Third, the observer skill. They provoke to trigger reflexes. You create a gap. When they strike, you name what rises inside you: anger, hurt, fear, the urge to defend. Naming separates you from the wave. You feel it without obeying it. You breathe, you choose, you respond only if it serves your standards. This is mastery, not the absence of emotion, but the presence of choice. And here's the Jungian truth underneath all of it. This path forces you into individuation. It forces you to reclaim the parts of you that learn to survive by pleasing, explaining, appeasing, or absorbing someone else's shadow. You stop being the screen. You become the author. Freedom begins when you stop being editable. Now, if you're still here, I want to anchor this in something practical. The next time you face provocation, try this sequence. 1. Pause. 2. Breathe. 3. Choose the smallest boundary action you can enforce today. Maybe it's ending a call. Maybe it's leaving a room. Maybe it's answering with 2 words and returning to your work. Consistency is what rewires the dynamic, but it also rewires you. The narcissist may sense your shift and try to mimic it. They might suddenly act calm. They might mirror your new piece. But it won't hold because it isn't built from an inner foundation. Your stability is earned. Theirs is performed. And that difference is why your transformation lasts. One more thing that keeps you safe while you practice this: an information diet. Narcissistic people don't only feed on emotion. They feed on access to your inner life. Your plans, your fears, your hopes, your weak spots. So as you detach, become selective. Share less. Give yourself time before you answer anything that feels urgent. Urgency is often the hook. What looks like now or never is usually react, so I can steer you. Here are 3 common traps and how to step around them. Trap 1, over-explaining. The moment you start building a case for why your boundary is reasonable, you've offered them a debate stage. Instead, use final language. No, not doing that. I'm leaving. Can you feel how your body changes when you stop bargaining for permission? Trap 2, trying to be understood by someone committed to misunderstanding you. They may hear every word and still twist it, because twisting is the point. So measure success differently. Not by whether they get it, but by whether you stayed aligned with your standards. Trap 3. Confusing calm with closeness. Sometimes the moment you stop reacting, they seem better. They may even offer an apology. Don't rush to trust it. Watch patterns, not speeches. Watch effort over time. A single good day is not a transformed character. It might be a tactic. So keep your boundaries consistent and let reality prove itself slowly. And if you're stuck in a situation where you cannot leave yet, remember this. You can still reclaim territory internally. You can stop confessing your feelings to someone who weaponizes them. You can stop negotiating your dignity. You can stop letting their mood set your schedule. Those are quiet revolutions. They don't look dramatic from the outside, but inside, they rebuild a self. There will be grief in this process. Not just grief for what they did, but grief for the fantasy that if you loved correctly, they would finally become safe. Let that grief move through you without turning it into another argument. Support matters here. One trusted friend, one therapist, one journal, one community where your reality is not questioned. Before we close, let's be clear. The objective is not to defeat a person. The objective is to become someone their tactics can't move. If this message is landing for you, take one small step right now. Hit like and subscribe to Winds of Thought as a signal to your own psyche that you're choosing sovereignty. And in the comments, write one word, sovereign. Not for me, for you. Because the moment you stop feeding the mask cracks. And when you stop carrying their shadow, you return to yourself. So tell me, which strategy will you apply first this week? Stay with me, because the next video goes deeper into rebuilding the self after psychological entanglement.